You already know. That line of the beat. A mí me gusta la mota, saca la bolsa. We're breaking up the bud and we smoking on some bomb ass weed. We smoking on some bomb ass weed.
Cheer. Salute. Orlando and worldwide. You are now tuned in to 420 The Buzz. I am your favorite Puerto Rican GQ to Ember. See? Man, we got the Archbishop, Joey Lopez in the building. What's going on, brothers?
What's going on,
What up?
What's up, Jimmy?
Man.
What up, Joey? How you doing, bro?
Good, my man. Good to see you all again.
Good.
Freddie.
You as well.
Pleasure. Out here in Florida. Me and Joey in Florida. We got my man Archbishop out there in Smokelahoma.
That's right. That's exactly right. Oklahoma, baby. This is where I am at, in the center of the country, making sure we keep that balance.
Yep. Flyover.
The east side and the west side.
And the west side or Midwest side.
Midwest side.
Midwest.
Yes, that's the real Midwest side. How come we don't have a Mid-East side?
No.
Why the middle gotta be the Midwest?
Alabama. Alabama is East, I think, right? Wouldn't that be the if we're calling
but we don't have
Midwest, then Alabama should be Central Mid-East, right?
They just don't say it. I'm saying, like, there's nobody claim that shit. Like, yo, I'm from the Mid-East.
From the Mid-East.
We'll think that they're like overseas and shit.
Be a nice.
They'll be like, oh, my boy's from Syria.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
like,
cool. Oh, y'all getting that? Y'all bringing in that heroin? That's what it is.
Be a nice brand.
Opium and shit. Fucking opium garden.
Yeah.
Garden shop. It's all good though. But anyway, man, what's going on with y'all, brothers? What we gonna get into today, man? For the viewers, episode 3.
You know what I think? Joey, hit it up, bro. What should we get into, Joey?
I came across a lot of this conversation this past week. It's very important, especially as one state by one opens up to the adult concept of recreational and adult usage. Environmentals, Jimmy. What is it about the West Coast that makes all the OG strains, off of the ocean, and those environmentals? How can those translate maybe to other parts of the country? Of course, we're growing in New York, right? We are soon to be growing in Florida. Well, there's growing in Florida already, but widely. But we were just talking about a place like Alabama. I mean, is Alabama capable with their environmentals? What happened there, Jimmy?
That salty air, man. That humidity. Okay, so first of all, what is OG, right? So you come across like Strawberry Kush OG or Alien OG, and if you ask, typically you just ask people, hey, like, what does OG stand for? Of course, they're going to tell you something that is most likely not right.
Original gangster.
You talk about cannabis in particular, and you say OG. That means that particular strain that you're smoking on was ocean grown. So you actually, unless you are growing in a state that borders an ocean, then you do not have a true OG. So the answer to your question is, how do we do that in the middle of the country? We can't, just by the virtue of what OG actually stands for in the cannabis world, which a lot of people don't know, but that's why we're here. We're going to straighten this out. So can somebody grow something in Oklahoma and call it OG? No. Could that seed come from California where it came from a plant that was OG? Yes. If you grow that seed that came from a plant that was an OG plant in Oklahoma, can it be OG? No.
Okay.
So it's ocean grown, man. It's like I said, by virtue of just the definition of what that is, you would not be able to grow an OG strain anywhere else except for.
Okay.
What makes it so special? Like just being next to an ocean, like this air, or what is it?
No. That's a good question. Like, so really it boils down to a couple different things, like the grow technique. First of all, like, are you using cocoa? Are you using soil? If you're using soil, where did the soil come from? Has some soil been washed? And if you're growing like Golden Triangle, California kind of growing, I mean, you have the type of soil where it has been exposed to elements, particularly from the sea. I mean, you have salt and then you have sea salt, and then you have Himalayan salt, right? So same thing. There's just a lot of minerals in the ocean and ocean states that other states just aren't going to get. And you can just start there. And then it goes from there. You know, you have the humidity in the atmosphere. You have the freshness of the air that's coming off of the oceans. You have, there's a lot of different factors that play into why plants, but nonetheless, but I'm just saying, like, you're not going to not go to a state like Oklahoma and not get a really killer strain. Right. Because then it goes into the growing technique. A lot of places in California can call it OG even though they grow it inside. So why is that? Well, you're still in an ocean-grown state. You know what I'm saying? Of course it can be OG. But really, the true meaning of it is like a nice outdoor, exposed to the air, exposed to the sun, exposed to the elements, OG, not grown in a warehouse, not grown, and just meticulously taken care of. Because there's a lot that goes into cannabis farming, man. I mean, if you're not out there after it rains, shaking down your plants and using a leaf blower to like blow all the excessive water off, you're going to have a mold problem, no matter where you are. And so there's a lot that goes into it that people don't really realize. And there's a lot of stuff that people are getting out on the streets where people are just kind of growing it on the fly. And it's full of like pesticides, herbicides, molds, funguses, all sorts of stuff that you don't actually realize that you're smoking. So, but nonetheless, if you're going to a professional grower, you know, like our boys up in Tulsa, right? Endless Clones, like they grow everything inside, but they hire biologists. They've got a nuclear scientist, not nuclear meaning like plutonium. I mean, plutonium, but like nuclear being like nucleus. Like these guys these guys study the growth of the plant in such a way to where they could tell you exactly what degree the lighting has to be pointed to get 5 pounds per light, like out of their harvests. 5 pounds per light.
That's crazy.
Like, so, and the strains are going to be super killer. And come to wrap up to what we're talking about. So there are some 20s and 30% THCs, but they're going to be lower in the terpene profile because THCA and the terpenes, while the plant is growing and forming, feed off of the same common denominator. And so whichever gets there first, you're going to either have higher terpene and lower THC, or you're going to have higher THC and lower terpene, right? So when you have people that are that meticulously engaged in the way that the plants are grown, you're going to have a better product at the end of the day, whether it's OG or not. But I think that your question is totally legit because it addresses something that I think people should probably know. Right, because if you're in Arizona and you're growing some OG, okay, and if that was the name of the plant,
you're growing some OG.
If that was the name of the plant you got the seeds from, and it was grown, the seeds were harvested from an OG plant. Yeah, okay, but you know what I'm saying, to say that inherently the plant was an OG plant from seed that you acquired from your strain in Arizona would not be an accurate statement.
That shit is either no G or so G. You know what I'm saying?
So G or no G, bro.
What about what about an original seed, right? And then from California, and let's say it's brought to Galveston, Texas. Or somewhere on the coast.
You're kind of by the.
That's a bad place too, man. That water's terrible.
On the coast, though, you know, you're still getting that seawater.
Why had to be that beach, man? That dirty ass beach. Shout out to everybody in Galveston, but that beach is toxic.
Oh, bro, there's some Texas.
I feel.
I have love for.
I know they gonna. Oh no, I love. I love. Don't get it twisted. I love Texas. You know what I'm saying? Shout out. They right by Houston. I love Houston, but they cannot deny that is some that is the exhaust to washing machine water right there in Galveston. You know what I mean? Like this shit is bad, bro.
Machine water.
That shit is bad. Anyone that's from there, no, don't go in that water. You better relax.
Right. You down in South Padre? Just stay in the bar.
Yeah. Exactly. You gonna have eggs. You gonna come out that bitch with eczema. Like for real. Like it's bad, bro.
Well, we got something.
But shout out to Galveston though. Shout out to Galveston. It's beautiful out there. Absolutely.
It really is.
Yeah, it is for real. They need to clean that up. Now, it's actually, I'm joking, but it's a travesty. Like they need to clean that up, man. That deserves to be pristine, man. And the oil industries and the refineries out there, man. Shame on y'all. Y'all got to pay for that. You know what I'm saying? Because Texas got it's great income, but y'all got to keep that shit clean. I know I've been out there plenty of times grabbing cars, and I'm like, man, this is beautifully but it's bad as well, bro. The smell is awful, in certain areas out there. You know what I'm saying, because of the industry. So that ain't cool, man. We got to get that together. But nonetheless, with them terpenes that the Archbishop was talking about, that'll help clean the air.
That'll clean anything up. So
yeah.
What? You want to hear a funny, quick story that's not really funny at all?
Please.
Yo, you stay opening shit up with that right there.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. So
that's like, if we laugh, it's not really our fault. Just so you know.
Yeah, I'm just setting you up. So in Chernobyl, you may remember, you may not, depending on when you were born, or you might have read about it, like the nuclear reactor melted down.
Yeah.
Hemp, right? Because remember, we have cannabis is the main head of the household.
Right.
And you have under that hemp and marijuana, right?
Okay.
The difference is the THC percentage. But they used hemp in Chernobyl to grow in the agricultural fields because the bioremediation was so powerful, it was able to pull heavy metals, radiation, and toxins out of the soil after the nuclear reactor melted down. You can't do shit with plants, but I mean that is how powerful hemp is, and of course cannabis. So, what if we could use hemp plants to plant down there to draw some of the toxins that were spilled by those companies out?
That's
absolutely
interesting. On that note, Jimmy, and this is something that everybody should be conscious of. That I heard the same, not to that degree, but I heard the same on broccoli here in Florida, and they say that broccoli has a way of pulling bad stuff, right? Bad contaminants, bad metals, bad stuff out of the soil, pulling it out, and so it stays in the flour, which is interesting because I thought, well, doesn't that make it bad? And someone had said, well, that's why organic is probably better, because regular run-of-the-mill Florida broccoli, which is, California has a broccoli, but Florida has a huge broccoli. We got big broccoli farming down here. And I was told that, and it made sense because I had heard that before about cáñamo, hemp, and how it pulls the bad mineral, it pulls the metals, it pulls all the bad stuff out of the soil, and it brings it up into it. So sort of like embracing and pulling the disease out of the ground, so that it cleanses the ground.
Exactly right.
And that's
exactly how it should be viewed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, no, that was the perfect analogy, bro. Pulling the disease out of the ground.
But then my question is, what do you do after with it?
What do you do with that
plant?
You throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't use it for biodiesel. You can't, because you're putting the shit back in the air. You can't use it to smoke or to eat or to make an edible or to extract, because your peel glow in the dark.
If that plant breaks down, though, it becomes soil, or doesn't that just go right back into the ground?
You have
whatever the elements are.
That's what I'm saying. You get rid of it. Yeah, absolutely.
And the fumes wouldn't expel that.
Depends on what it is that you used it to bioremediate.
That's crazy. That's it, man. Just fucking load up a fucking the SpaceX. Fucking load up a SpaceX container and just fucking send it up there into the universe or some shit. I don't fucking know. One way trip out of here, buddy.
I've seen it grow. I've seen it grow in upstate New York. That was found to be contaminated to that level, and they had to take it down with authority there, and with authority there, they had to have it incinerated. They had to pay for it. They had to pay for every last part of it. So
SpaceX,
Yep.
one-way ticket to the sun, nigga.
oh,
That's gonna
Yep.
be the you know what I'm saying?
Blast
It's
that.
gonna be a lot farther away than what we got to deal with. I say that one-way trip, just point it up there. It'll melt down, it'll
Shoot it
blow,
out.
it'll incinerate.
Oh
It'll
man,
do
you
its
know why, Freddie? You know why? Because you know what's going to happen, man. Some fucking alien's going to come along. They're going to capture our shit.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, "Well, let's see what they're smoking on Earth, dude." They're going to smoke the shit, and then whatever the contaminants are going to get the aliens extremely high because of their like physiology,
Yeah.
and they're going to be like, "Earth, bro, they got some good shit," and they're going to come down here expecting some contaminated weed, and we're going to have all these regulations in place. They're just going to get regular old 32% THC weed.
They're going to be.
No, we got plenty of contaminants to
You don't
deliver
want to
good
disappoint the
products.
aliens. You don't
I
want to
think-
disappoint the aliens. These motherfuckers, they got ray guns, bro. You don't want to disappoint them.
I think we got enough to not disappoint. Trust me. We'll just start growing directly out of Detroit, out of New York City. We got spots here in Florida. Don't you worry, we got you covered, buddy.
Yes.
That train that tipped over from Ohio, got you, alien.
We gonna call this strain the Predator.
What was it? Palestine, Ohio, or something? Ohio, or with the.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah, the train.
Oh yeah, that's see.
They're
Look,
gonna have to remediate the ground with something like that, though, right? So maybe hemp is the.
I would recommend that as a case study.
yeah,
Absolutely, I absolutely would.
there you go. Well, somebody might say when the Schedule 3 is going to make that possible.
Maybe.
Yep.
So
I mean, maybe so.
So Jimmy, do those type of contaminants show up on someone's COA, on someone's certificate of analysis? Yes.
If it's a full panel, absolutely.
Okay.
Heavy metals, toxic, everything will show up on a COA, bro. They're using high pressure flame and gas chromatography equipment, man, that is going to identify to the LOQ that's like in place. They're going to be able to know every heavy metal, every toxin, every herbicide, every fungicide, every anything that is in that plant, including the cannabinoids, including the terpenes, including the flavonoids, and all the good shit. You're going to have everything that is in that plant, period. There are rules that are so strict, and they should be. They should be.
Absolutely. Fuck
like
yeah.
when if you're selling marijuana for the prices that you're selling it for, and making the dispensaries, processors, growers, and labs pay 40% in taxes,
Top
then
dollar.
the product that's delivered to the end consumer, literally, when you say, "Dude, I got some good shit," you're going to be able to pull out a freaking report and be like, "Told you it's some good shit. Look at this."
I
Like,
got
go down.
the ancestry.com of this strain.
7% Moroccan.
That's right.
Yeah. I like that. Golden poison.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's
man.
gonna be there, man.
Need
All
that
that
shit.
information is gonna be there.
But people are
And it
asking
needs-
for that now. I mean, it does not even so much for the whole background of the analysis, which is going to be amazing. But there's so many people that I've spoken to that say, "Yo, where does this name come from? Like, where does this shit fucking come from? Or this strain, or that strain, or this and that?" And there's just so much mystery to a lot of that shit. You know, even the OG shit. You know, I never heard anyone ask me like, "What does the OG stand for?" I just assumed that it was just the name of the strain. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck, it's just
we
OG.
assume, right? We
Right.
assume,
Yeah, we assume that shit.
because you know what? Here's the thing: like OG, those are two very, very powerful letters when you put them together, man. Like just what the hip hop community has done.
That's original
with the letters
gangster.
OG, bro. Like that is they've done such a good job.
Yeah.
That now when you hear OG, you just assume that someone's talking like this is like original gangster level stuff.
Yeah, it's
You
because
know what
OG sounds like it's more like a classic strain. Like, oh, this is like an original form strain, and they mixed it with something different. You know what I'm saying? And now it's, you know, Cookies OG or whatever the fuck OG. They're like, oh, it's like a new strain mixed with a classic strain, and without realizing, no, if it's just out of a state, especially outside on a state that's actually an ocean side state. So anything on the East Coast that you grow it outside, anything on the West Coast, southern tip, that if you have a beach and you grow it, I guess it doesn't really matter. There's no like distance, right? It could be on the north side of Texas, you know, just about to border Oklahoma, and that can still can be considered OG, right? Because they have their own.
Correct.
So there
and
you
know
go.
What? Here's this too, and this is a really good. That right there, like, where did this strain get its name?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have somebody that just comes up with some creative shit.
Yeah.
But when you take two separate plants and you start to pollinate,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
that's going to branch off into two very specific areas of what we're talking about today, because there are terpenes that are in some plants that repel bugs, right?
Yes.
Right.
But there are some terpenes that are in these exact same plants that actually attract insects like bees and other pollinating insects, butterflies. They attract the pollinating insects, which are necessary, obviously, for the pollination, the growth, and the health of the crop.
Well, check
And
this out.
so,
Check this out. Parenthesis on that. That's why terpenes are so dynamic, because why? They literally can be like pheromones, right, of one plant to another, correct?
yes, yep,
And so
yep.
why, when we're grabbing a strain, you put a nose on it and something tells you, wow, this, to me, this is edible. To me, this is delicious, right? It's because that pheromone, that maybe it's in each individual person, each individual customer, maybe it's in him or her that is attractive, right? As a pheromone, as a in this case, as a terp, right?
Yeah.
That's correct. But check this out. So let's go back to the name real quick, right?
Right.
So we talk about the names of the plants. When you talk about, like, we have GSC, right? Here's some terpenes just for everybody that's watching this so that you can kind of understand, like, these are terpenes derived from the Girl Scout cookie strain. That's what GSC is, right? Then you have, let's say, Strawberry Kush, right? This is what Strawberry Kush looks like, right? These are just straight terpenes. Now, why is it Strawberry Kush?
Marijuana moonshine.
No. Check this out. The reason why this plant is Strawberry Kush is because the Kush probably came from Afghanistan at some point in the lineage of this plant. But two, the strawberry is because the terpenes, when you smell it, gives you that strawberry like aroma that you get, right? So that's why when you smell like some blueberry weed, right? The terpenes that are in there are what you smell when you're like, dang, bro, this is gas. Well, because it smells like gas. Why? Because of the terpenes. Terpenes are naturally occurring chemical compounds found in the plants, and they're responsible for the aromas, the flavors, the colors. They're responsible for all types of stuff that you get during the vegetative process. And in terms of cannabis, terpenes are what make certain strains smell or taste different from others, right? And so that is on the high level. Like, if you were to say, what is terpenes, right? Terpenes are the component in the plants that give them the aroma, the taste. But then it gets even deeper, because terpenes themselves protect plants from harsh weather. They protect from predators. What they do in humans, we're talking anything from anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, anti-anxiety, or the exact opposite, picking you up and giving you energy, right? The only difference between sativa and indica is terpenes. It has nothing to do with the way the THC affects you. It has nothing to do with the way the CBD affects you. It has nothing to do with the way the CBN, the CBG, the CBGA, the CBC, and I can go the fuck on. It has absolutely nothing to do with the cannabinoids. It has everything to do with the entourage effect of the cannabinoids with the terpenes. And the only difference between a sativa strain and an indica strain are the types of terpenes that grow in that plant. There's a reason why when you smoke certain strains of marijuana that you just want to sit around, right? Play Xbox, order Domino's, maybe get some of that feta cheese bread. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't sponsored.
Maybe.
That wasn't sponsored. It was not sponsored.
Although,
I'm not saying
check.
that's what I do. Okay. And you've got the other strain, right? That you smoke, you want to go play tennis, and you want to go shopping, and you want to smoke some more, and then you want to go into the Apple store and think you're going to have an intelligent conversation with somebody who works there, but you feel good about it, right?
Don't do it.
But these are the terpenes that do this. These are not the cannabinoids. THC, the same molecule exists in sativa as it does in indica, and it does the exact same thing to you. So then why does an indica make you feel different than a sativa? Because of the terpene
profile.
The terpene.
Is there a way to add terpenes to a strain?
Oh, bro, that's what I got these little puppies over here for, man. So what I do is I recently got in order to do 1,200 vape carts, right? Disposable 2 gram. And they were very specific about what they wanted these vape carts to do. Obviously, the first thing that people want their vape carts to do is get them into an elevated place in life.
Facts.
But you also have people that need to cool out, bro. Sometimes you have people that have ADD and they need to like get focused. And so what we do is instead of just making a cart that's just going to be a cart that you're going to smoke and get high, we make a cart that you'll be able to hit it once or twice. And then all of a sudden the level of focus that you have is exponentially higher than it is any other time. You can actually take carts and not have any psychoactive cannabinoids in it whatsoever. You don't have any THCO, any THCV, any Delta 8, Delta 10, Delta 11, Delta 9. You're not going to have any of those in whatsoever, and just use terpenes and you will achieve your objective.
So it's
you
like
will achieve your objective, and that is the medicinal part of cannabis.
It's like the limitless. It's like the limitless pill for marijuana.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Think about it this way. So, Joey, you've tried my THCV, right?
Yes, I have.
Imagine that in a vape cart. Right? Same thing, except you're vaping it.
Okay.
Wow.
Is that what you've got?
Okay. No, I'm just vaping 18 milligrams of nicotine.
He's just
liquid
naturally like this.
No, man, I don't like smoking cigarettes, but I like nicotine, right? The FDA classifies nicotine as the same type of stimulant as caffeine, and nicotine is not what causes cancer, right? Tar, carbon monoxide, radioactive isotopes, all that shit causes cancer. I like nicotine stimulation, but I do have CBD in it because it helps to keep me like calm. I'm a very high energy person inherently. And some people just cannot handle it, and that's okay. That's okay. But some of those people that can't handle it need to be on the receiving end of information that I'm giving them as I'm coaching for improved work performance. And so therefore I have to watch my delivery. And when I vape on CBD, I don't have to watch myself as much because I'm not like coming off as like being too assertive with information that I'm delivering. And it's imperative that they receive that information and apply what it is that I'm coaching them to do for the success of what it is that they do for me. And so that's what it does for me. Right. So THC, not so much, because if I had THC, then people would look at me like you guys are looking at me right now because I won't shut up.
I'm like, it's on that CBD. That's crazy though. That's what's up though.
You're in the right room.
That's it. Yeah, you in the right room. Facts. That's a big fact. Man. That's a big fact.
And you know, I just want to like, okay, so I'm looking at right now. I pulled this up because I can't quote it unless I'm looking at it. But there was a 2010 study that showed that the combination of CBD and THC was more effective for pain management than THC alone. But it was more effective for pain management, 10 times more effective when terpenes were added from the outside in.
Right.
This is how profound terpenes are, right? So when if we're talking to somebody today and you're just at home chilling and you're watching us and you're like, these guys are hilarious, I'm gonna listen to what they have to say and get some education, and you're just somebody who just smokes cannabis because that's what you do. There's like no real medical need behind it. There's no particular thing that's being addressed by smoking it. You just want to cool out, whatever. Maybe you just want to get squinted, play some Xbox after you're watching 420theBuzz. And so, but if you're somebody who's watching this and you're like, hey man, I want to know what is medical about marijuana above and beyond just the THC and CBD, because THC and CBD are very profound by themselves. But they're 2 of 128 different cannabinoids, and there are a lot of terpenes involved. So if you think that you walk into a dispensary and someone says, oh, that's your condition, well, you need this in particular strain because this is the highest amount of THC available. That person is being paid hourly or a salary to sell you and make the most money off of every sale.
That's right.
Somebody that really cares about what you have going on is going to know the information like at a high level and understand what terpenes do and what strains they carry and the COAs that they have on those strains, and what those COAs indicate are the terpenes that are within that particular strain. Because if you get the wrong strain and it does not address what the concern is that you have your medical card for anyway, then you're just getting high.
Yep. Yeah.
Which within itself is fine if that's the objective. But if the objective is
It'd be my role.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? But if the objective is to solve inflammation, pain, confusion,
Right.
Parkinson's, dementia, Crohn's,
Right.
whatever, then you need to talk to somebody who knows a little bit more about what really makes up the medicine that's in these plants.
Yeah, and your time can affect that. So what I mean by that is this week I need some shit that's just gonna make me get high, feel good, just that third. Next week I might be like, yo, I got like this indigestion. Like, what the heck? What do I do? The normal person of today would be like, well, I gotta see a doctor, get a pill.
Yeah.
But you already gonna be in a field where you say, oh shit, you know what? I'm having indigestion problem. Now when I go to get my, my strain that gets me high, let me pick up something that's specific for this too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So the needs may differ from week to week, day to day. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might be like, oh, I'm feeling more anxious. I'm this. Oh, well, great. Tell your a real bud tender. You know what I'm saying? And so that way they can say, oh, you know what? These strains are good for this. And it should also be on the packaging. We really got to have good packaging too, man. These you can't just have product and not know what the shit is good for. You know what I'm saying? Yep. They should be aware of what that strain is good for as well. So that way it also helps bud tenders, but it also helps the consumer to say, look, it's here. Here are some of the pros and here are some cons as well. You know what I'm saying? The same way with white pills. Yeah, go ahead.
Freddie, you said that we have a Facebook page?
We have just now started it. It's
and just so you guys at home, just people watching this, I'm not asking because we're just getting this kicked off, and this is going to be a huge movement that you're all going to be a part of, and we're going to be very proud to have you guys as part of this. We should, on that page, I will come up with like a one page real quick.
Yeah.
Like for example, if we wanted to talk about anti-cancer, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously there's a lot of things going on in our world today. Right. We're talking from environmental pollutants to, just the sun. Like, there's just a lot of things going on right now with reasons why we would see higher rates of cancer. Okay. Yeah. And UV with rising rates of cancer, we're constantly looking for different compounds, and scientists and researchers are looking for different compounds and whatnot to battle against certain types of cancer. But there are terpenes, for example, limonene, is anti-cancer, anti-tumor, along with pinene, camphor, turpenine. There's a few others. And I think that if we were to say, we'd have like a page that says, this is what this terpene does, and someone were to get the COA that we were talking about on that particular strain that they're buying, and they could look at it full panel, not just cannabinoid, always ask for a full panel COA. And you look on that and you see the terpene profile, and you can see that it has pinene, or like alpha or beta pinene for that matter, linalool, limonene, camphor, and you can see, and you're addressing the issue based on now you know what you're looking for, instead of just going in and letting somebody else know what you're looking for, because someone else might not know exactly what you're looking for. I think it would be beneficial to everybody who subscribes and watches us to be able to trip over to Facebook, like and follow, shameless plug,
right,
and watch what we post up there, because this is about knowledge, man. And like pain relief. Oh my goodness, here we go. Researchers found cannabis terpenes mimic cannabinoids. Terpenes mimic cannabinoids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they include humulene, geranol, linalool, beta-pinene, and they found that those interact with the body's CB1 receptors, which is your endocannabinoid system, and promote pain relief. We're not talking about CBD, THC, or anything. We're talking about just the terpenes that are in that plant.
Right.
So this is really what the entourage effect that we all hear so much about actually means. Mm-hmm. I've heard people say that if they have a hemp-based cannabis product for a specific reason, that it's not as good because it doesn't come from marijuana. But that is false, because again, I have to emphasize that it is the higher the terpene, the lower the THC. The lower the THC, the higher the terpene. You are going to get thousands of times higher terpenes in a hemp plant than you will in a marijuana plant. I mean, seriously, because remember, THC and terpenes, they compete for the same common denominator. So what happens in a hemp plant, which has less than 0.30% THC, there's nothing to compete. You know what I'm saying? The terpenes are going to win every single time. When we extract terpenes from the strains, we extract predominantly from hemp plants, right? Because we're not shooting for the THC. If we're shooting for the THC, then we're going to extract from marijuana plants, right? Because that's the cannabinoid that we're looking for. And then full spectrum. So people will say if there's not THC, you can't have the entourage effect because it's not full spectrum. But that's not true because there's even THC in hemp plants. It's just a significantly low amount.
So, Jimmy,
but does it really work?
Let me ask you a very dynamic question with that. So when the plant is maturing in that phase and it's maturing for terpenes, right? What is the plant actually doing? Is it protecting itself? Is it in its environment, right? What is the plant attempting to achieve by maturing its terpenes on it? What's it attempting to do?
The plant is not that really the plant is trying to achieve anything in particular, but the way that plant has been bred over generations.
Okay.
Right? So if the plant has been bred over generations to produce a higher terpene profile, then while it's in what you're referring to specifically is called the vegetative state.
Correct. Okay, there you go.
And so while it's all good. So while it's in its vegetative state, the only cannabinoid that you're really going to find is CBGA, right? It's not until the plant goes from its vegetative state to the flowering state, that's when the CBGA is going to try to convert over to THCA, CBDA, and CBCA. But it is also when it begins to develop trichomes, because you're not going to see trichomes in the vegetative state. So when you start to see those trichomes form, it's going to be in the flowering stage, and it's within those trichomes that terpenes exist. Yeah. Now this right here, the plant's doing exactly what the plant's doing, but this is where the cultivators themselves will be able to focus on specific behaviors and practices to be able to tell the plant, okay, go for terpenes. Okay, go for THC. Because if you just leave it alone and you just let it grow and you don't do anything special to it at all, it's going to do what on a genetic level it's designed to do, which is just produce these terpenes, produce these cannabinoids. It's going to be this percentage and it's going to produce this many numbers of pounds. But when you start to understand the nuclear end of it, right? The nucleus, the center of each and every single cell, and you understand how to draw the terpene profiles towards that common denominator and let the THC fight for it, but give the terpenes the upper hand. That's when you get the lower THC profile and the higher terpene profile. And in many, many cases for people that want a really just a very balanced experience with cannabis, those are the growers that are going to make the most money. Yeah. Because those are the growers that understand what that experience is going to be for each user. That is the grower that understands the medicinal part of cannabis versus the recreational part. Because there really is two parts, right? Someone who is using it recreationally does not care what it does for their health.
Overall,
sorry to blow it out there, but
overall,
that's exactly what it is. Right?
Yeah, no, you're right. Overall, yeah.
But people that use it medicinally don't necessarily care about what it does recreationally because they're trying to actually solve a problem.
Right. The rec head, I'll say rec head. I don't know if that's really the term, but like myself, right? We'll use the product because it makes us feel amazing and we're good with that. But we also take under consideration, for the most part, the fact that we know that we're ingesting something that has never killed anybody. So we have that confidence of knowing that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? So with that being said, we're like, hey, it's not killing us. So it's good. We would always say like, shit, it's good for glaucoma. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go hungry. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely gonna sleep good. So it's like you cover sleep, sight, and nutrition, and we're good. Thank you for the 3. You know what I'm saying? The 3 amigos of smoking recreational.
Correct.
You know,
Hard to argue
but you're
that.
right.
It would be hard to.
Yeah, but imagine if we could even incorporate some sort of vitamin intake, right? Like if this was a strain that's like, yo, it's high in vitamin C or this, that, and the third. Like, man.
Well,
and I'm sure that the
let me tell you
future's coming for that.
on that. I will tell you on that is that if you are getting better sleep, if you are getting good sleep, right, and if it does have its way of calming you down, right, or relieving stress,
yeah,
guess what?
That's me.
Guess
for
what?
sure.
Your body, as the machine, just enabled itself, right, to boost the vitamin intake from whatever you are eating otherwise, right? So,
Awesome.
right, Jimmy? I would say that because
Yeah.
naturally you gave your body the chance to. If you're a ball of stress, you're burning the candle at both ends, you're not sleeping properly. I don't give a shit what green vibrance or whatever shakes you're making at the gym. It's not working. It's not working.
Right.
Right? Because your body
Or
is
Great
your
point.
body
chock filled with cortisol, right? Your blood,
Yep.
your ornery, that all has to do with the toxicity of your body. Let me just make a point of what we as a community, right, are up against. I follow the 3-letter another alphabet agency. They're called the FDA. Okay, I follow their weekly output on what drugs they have approved on a weekly basis. Guys, it is sad. Very
It's sad, bro.
And this is what's so sad. Diabetes in America and across the Western world, our Western society, is an absolute epidemic. The drugs that they approved just this last week, like 70% of the drugs are not to cure diabetes, but to be able to allow you to live healthy with diabetes. Now, every drug that's being released has an adult one, and their biggest market now are the children, the youth.
Oh, sure.
With diabetes.
Well,
it's crazy.
First of all,
it's crazy.
It is crazy. And you know what? I just want to throw this out there because I think that, okay, so we tend to mimic the things that we see in life, right? This is what we learn, what we say, how we repeat what we learn, what we say. So how long, and if you don't know the answer, it's okay, I'll look it up. How long has the FDA been around?
I think, I'm going to take a stab at it, but I believe it's a 1940s agency. Would probably,
I think you're right.
Probably be chronological with all the bullshit we brought into this country and in the 40s.
What was the question? How long has the FDA been around?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now, dude. June 30th, 1906, bro.
Damn, 1906.
Wow. I think it's safe to say that was before pretty much any of us were born.
I mean, just
not
by a couple years.
Vampires.
I don't know.
Not trying to offend any vampires that might be watching today, but I'm just saying, 1906, predominantly, we were not here.
Dog, they not here either. You ain't offending nobody.
No, dude. So, like, that means that when all three of us and most of everybody, everybody that's watching this right now was born after 1906, which means that we were born into a world where the FDA existed, and we never really said anything other than, well, it's not FDA approved. It is FDA approved. The FDA says it's generally recognized as safe. Yep. But why do you think that there's one government agency that controls both foods and drugs?
Dynamic.
So that there's no resistance. So there's no resistance, yo. And the fact that both agencies, they all work hand in hand. You got people from the FDA.
Think about it this way. Okay, we're going to tell the people that this is okay to consume, and when they find out that they're fat, then we're going to give them this drug.
Yep.
I mean, do we not see them? If you've never thought about it that way, dude, then let me introduce you to how I think. Right. So how I think is like, why alcohol, tobacco, and firearms?
That's a great.
Right.
You know,
That's a good.
why Food and Drug Administration? Like
Right.
why would you take things that are so separate from each other and have them being approved by one
Entity. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, the level of trust that I have is very low, and I'm sure that you guys have that too, but I'll be the one that comes out and says it. Man, when I find out, or when you think about it and you think that there's an agency that says this food is okay and this drug is okay, but then they tell you that this plant over here is not okay, but then upon further review, the FDA has no choice but to admit that in 2001, the Department of Health and Human Services branch of the United States government, Health and Human Services, got a patent approved for CBD oil for the first time in 2001. And I remember clearly in 2010, the government saying there's nothing medicinal about cannabis.
Right.
If there's nothing medicinal about cannabis, then why do you own a patent for CBD oil and then make claims that it helps people with Parkinson's and HIV and oxidative stress disorders? Because you can read it. It is literally online at the United States Patent and Trade Office, uspto.gov. It's like document 66. I don't know the number like directly, but it's out there.
It's there.
And you can read the claims that were made.
That's what else.
And
That's what else. Not only, it's also any potential medicinal claim is owned in that patent. Any potential. So that if in 2025, all of a sudden, they're like, oh, by the way, all along, it was the terpenes of the plant that we have now found can mitigate something with cancer. Well, guess where that auspice, right? That ownership under that auspice goes. Correct?
And then people like us who've been talking about it since 2000, and I don't know. I mean, I publicly started coming out in about 2015, 16, talking about terpenes in different parts of the cannabis plant. And I have had a YouTube channel shut down. And I've had incredible resistance on every single level that you could possibly, from law enforcement to medical to whatever. I've had a lot of resistance, man. And now what we're finding out is that we were right about it all this entire time. It's not even that we were right about it. We just had conclusive proof. We just didn't have the money, the billions of dollars it takes to do an FDA trial, because marijuana is illegal on a federal level, and marijuana has terpenes that you cannot find in other botanicals. And so how can you study something that's illegal, but yet other than just using it and its derivatives from the hemp plant, which is legal, and be able to fight that, man? It's been a very difficult road to be on, honestly. But you know what? If you're not on a road with resistance, you're probably on the wrong road, because you're never going to get from anywhere you are to anywhere you're going to be without having to work. If it was not difficult to do this shit, then we would all get up in the morning and go to easy, right? We don't. We get up and we go to work, and they call it that for a reason, because there are challenges. There's shit that we got to do. And so the shit that I got to do and the things that I've done in pertains to like the cannabis industry has not been easy. But what's even worse is that when you're battling an agency that says that what you're doing has no medicinal benefit, at the same time approving medications that have what you are doing in it for medicinal purposes. Marinol, Sativex, Epidiolex. Epidiolex was the first phytocannabinoid drug that came out for children with seizures, and I think that was in 2017.
Wow.
But there's no medicinal benefit. But yet they're putting medication.
Right. Yeah. And that's,
anyway, food and drug.
But that's why, you know, I think the plant is a major reason, especially when the FDA comes out against it. The plant is a major reason why, amongst other reasons, but the plant really is a starting point for a lot of people. Why let's talk about us as Americans. I can't speak for anybody else, but why we are losing respect and trust in these alphabet agencies one day at a time. You know, it's just every single day. You know, any poll that comes out, an actual, I don't know if we can call any actual polls anymore, but because they're all sponsored.
Legitimate,
you know, across the board, people do not trust our alphabet agencies anymore. I mean, they don't give us any reason to. No. And I think the plant really, that was really my reason, because of how I grew up, my grandmother and stuff like that. And when they spoke out against it, because we don't believe in white pills. We just don't. We believe that any ailment can at first be cured or mitigated with plant product. Also, I fast. At least intermittent fasting. So it's all a part of it. But you start going down that road when you start embracing the power of plants as medicine. So, but now one more question, Jimmy, on the vegetative state. What are flavonoids, and what do they do?
Okay, so how much time do we have left, Freddie?
We've got roughly about 10 minutes.
I think flavonoids is consistent with terpenes, right? And in that vegetative state. So there's what's their purpose?
Well, basically, they have lipids, so those are the good fats, and they also do exactly that. Flavonoids are the flavor, so they're like hand in hand with the terpenes, and that's the easiest way to explain.
So the terpenes are the nose, right? Are the nose, and the flavonoids are the taste in this olfactory experience, right?
That just fucking lit a light bulb in my shit.
And the reason why they work is because your sense of taste and smell are like one in one.
Okay. So like I remember the first time I had Kush, right?
They also provide pigment to the plant, just so you know.
Nice.
So they also provide
Kush, Jimmy, real quick on what where he's going. Is Kush, is it a genetic of Afghani weed?
Afghan and Asian.
Okay. Go ahead, Freddie.
So for me, my experience with Kush, I remember the first time I took a drag of it, and I was like, man, this shit tastes like Fruit Loops cereal.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was calling it. I was like, yo, I would ask my cousin, like, yo, you got any more of that Fruit Loop? You know what I'm saying? And he was like, yeah, it do taste like Fruit Loop cereal for real. And it always baffled him. I'm like, man, how the hell they get that taste in there? Like, I thought like these flavors were somehow indicative to how you grew it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No.
I'm like, these motherfuckers are taking cereal, and then after they eat the cereal, dumping the milk. Yeah.
So check it out. So flavonoids are they're a secondary metabolite to terpenes.
Okay.
So they literally do like work hand in hand. They help to bring out the color in your plants. The word flavonoid itself is actually made up from the Latin word flavus, meaning blonde or yellow. And that is kind of the common like hue that the flavonoids have. So the more golden of a hue that you see, the more the flavonoids are there. But again, there's about 8,000 different varieties of flavonoids that exist. And they're pretty much in almost every plant species. And so, but again, they're a secondary metabolite to the terpene. But when you have both of them present, it's almost like its own little synergistic effect that they provide to the body, to the experience. We won't say to the body, we'll say to the experience.
Make it look loud, and terpenes make it loud on the nose and on the olfactory.
Understand.
Yes, but the flavonoids also can help to bring flavor with it. But see, the thing is when we talk about the nose, we're talking about the sense of smell and taste. So I think where the terpenes don't have any of the visual, right? The flavonoids do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you're going to see the flavonoids.
So the visual stimulation of it followed with the taste. And then
but they both impact the olfactory. They both impact your sense of taste and smell. So yeah, when you have the Fruit Loops, those are terpenes, bro.
Yeah, but the terpenes are when you open that bag and you're like, yo, and then the flavonoids is when you taste it and you're like, whoa, this shit is delicious.
The flavonoid is like when you see it, but in combination as a secondary metabolite with the terpenes, that's when you smell, taste, and see all together. So you have a little bit of taste and smell in the flavonoid, but a whole bunch in the terpenes.
Yeah.
But then you have a whole lot of visual in the flavonoid where you don't have a lot in the terpenes. Terpenes is predominantly the sense of taste and smell, but the flavonoids also kick in on that as well.
And
again,
it's a whole lot of happy feet because you happy as hell. You done got yourself some good shit.
Dude, there is some seriously good smelling stuff out there. I've smelled marijuana that I literally thought should be an air freshener.
I agree with
it
you.
just smells so good.
And for me, I smell some really, really good marijuana. I said, this has to be really much in my system.
Right.
Really need this. And now I'm at a state where I'm like, man, I need this shit to be back in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn you.
Smelling weed on a subway platform than the hot grease that comes out from a subway platform truck.
You know, hey, quickly to touch up on what we were talking about last episode. We got about 5 minutes or so, but the ban on the public smoking for marijuana, cool. You know, we all agreed on it. Okay, it's not the worst thing, but they really should implement that on cigarettes too. You know what I'm saying?
God.
Like, cause that, you know what I'm saying? Cause come on, man, like that's it's really unhealthy. It's extremely unpleasant, and it's extremely disgusting.
It is.
Cigarette butts and all that stuff. Like, man, that stuff is bad, bro. So we need to step up on that when they implement the smoking ban, which, you know, they will, and say, hey, that's fine, but you got to ban the cigarettes as well, bro. Like, I know they did a lot, you know, public areas and stuff. We all came up in the era where, you know, you had the smoking sections in the restaurants, on the airplanes. I mean, I even remember in grocery stores, you could smoke as long as you wasn't by the meats.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You could smoke from there.
My first international flight to Germany, you could smoke on the plane.
Wow, see that? That's the worst. Fuck all that.
My grandma took me to Germany after my grandfather passed away.
Oh, rest in peace.
And there's 3 things I remember about that trip, dude. First of all, the first flight of your life as a 5 or 6 year old man is freaking horrifying.
Right.
Second of all, the movies that they play.
Those on the screen. Yeah, this.
And third was the smell of cigarettes, man.
Terrible shit, bro.
Oh my god! And I was asthmatic, and they didn't even know I was asthmatic yet.
Yeah.
I could barely breathe, bro.
Yeah, I was going through it too as a kid many times.
Man,
and I was asthmatic as well.
Bro. Yeah, I couldn't wait to get off that plane.
So that's why I forgot to make that point last week, and I said, man, let me just throw that in there on the tail end of this one, where they need to implement that shit all across the board.
Oh, it's a very valid point.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
And as a smoker, you don't realize it because you become numb to it, man. But after you smoke, man, you walk inside after a break, dude, like, oh my gosh, bro, like you're smelling bad. And I'm a former smoker. That's why I went to vaping, man, was to kill that. And you don't really smell vape. You know what I'm saying? Like you might smell it for a second or two, but it doesn't smell like cigarettes.
Doesn't linger. It doesn't really linger on you like that.
It smells like Fruity Pebbles, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever. And so I feel it was a really great switch. But one thing I noticed is after about 6 months or so, like I really began to smell cigarettes again on people and in their car.
Yeah, bro.
You can tell when you go into a hotel room that's a non-smoking hotel room, and the person that stayed before you doesn't give a fuck. So you walk in and it's like, dang, bro.
You know,
like it smells like cigarettes in here.
At my job, we switch out of trucks a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I might jump into somebody else's truck, and I'm like, dude, your fucking shit stinks, bro. Like straight up ashtray, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck, man? You know what I mean? Like, you just
abuela medicinal.
Okay,
let's get it.
So,
yeah, we there.
So my abuela cured, like I was saying, she cured everything with 2 different products. One of them was what we called cáñamo or weed, hierba, and the other one was baking soda. All right. Baking soda, you can take a teaspoon of baking soda in water, okay? Cure, and I'm, as God is my witness, it will cure so many ailments that you're dealing with, from inflammation, but really, where you're going to see it, feel it right away, indigestion, completely, right? Because it's literally just taking that sour stomach, sour belly, whatever you want to call it, and just eliminate it right there because it's a shot of alkaline, right? So it's base versus acidity. So it boosts your pH balance. Now, another thing about that, you put out a tray of baking soda in a room where there was smoking, it absorbs all that as well from the air. You will no longer smell that. All right.
Excellent tip.
Another thing that you, by drinking the baking soda, you can have Indian food or Vietnamese food, stuff that will make you, let's call it, it'll come out of your pores, right? The next day, drink baking soda. It's an internal deodorant. You won't smell it the next day. It absorbs all that.
How much baking soda, like, per part? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like teaspoon for 1 glass of water?
Teaspoon, full glass of water. I drink it with ice. Slam it. Don't worry about how it tastes. It's what it's going to do for you. I'm telling you,
crazy.
One of those before you go to sleep, and when you wake up, because again, it's a alkaline, shot of alkaline, so it's bringing up your pH balance. And a lot of diseases cannot exist in an alkaline cell.
Right. Facts. That is true.
So
that is true.
That's
absolutely
what I wanted to add, because it's not just about the weed. It's about how you take care of yourself and allow your body then absorbs and allows for these medicinal components to do their magic.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, gentlemen, it's been an amazing hour. Hope everybody was entertained and I've educated, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Any last words from either one of you gentlemen?
Let's make it a big week.
You know what? We talked a lot about making sure that we're getting stuff legit. And the company in Tulsa, Endless Clones, shameless plug, endlessclones.com. Go check it out. We do genetic tissue culturing that can be shipped to any state where there's marijuana legislation.
Right.
And they're guaranteed bug and disease free, man. Just check it out. Endlessclones.com.
Nice. Joey,
legit genetics.
All great.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace to everybody that was tuned in. Keep God in your life. You already know what it is, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and follow us on Instagram at 420theBuzz. We'll get the Facebook and all that stuff fully operational. It's already up and running, but we got to get some things together with it. And you already know what it is, man. Salute to everybody that was tuned in. Cheer. We out of here.
A mí me gusta la mota, saca la bolsa. We're bringing up the bud and we smoking on some bomb ass weed. We smoking on some bomb ass weed.